It's been 2 years since Hello Neighbor 2's launched, and we're still in a festive Halloween-y mood. That's all good, I understand. I'm in Halloween mood every day of my life. So I'm going to be teaching you some tips and tricks just to help your Hello Neighbor 2 playthrough go just a little bit faster. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to press New Game, and it'll show you this van moving, which kind of foreshadows the opening to the game. Now the opening is pretty cool. You kind of just watch Quentin drive around a bit. He does like some like sick drifts and stuff. So Quentin picks up his coffee and takes a sip. Now unfortunately this means he's now slightly hallucinating because there's a plot point in the animated series where his coffee is laced with sleeping pills, which kind of make you hallucinate. So he takes pictures of this cat, but then the cutscene just kind of ends. So the cutscene kind of just abruptly cuts to this barn, and it's pretty weird, but you can see through environmental storytelling that Quentin crashed his car through the side of the barn. Now, there's actually a speedrun trick you can do in this barn where if you go up, if you go up here, you can actually vault, and you can get up to this without climbing the ladder. And no one likes climbing ladders. So it's very slow and tedious, so it doesn't really matter. So this cutscene's pretty cool. You can see Mr. Peterson. He kind of just hits you with a shovel. So after he hits you with the shovel, you wake up back in your office, which is pretty strange. So now that you've woken up in your office after getting hit by Mr. Peterson, you can see these mysterious black bars that appear. Now this is an interesting speedrun strat, because you can only get it by playing RTX. So now that we're playing the game, the first location you're actually going to want to head to is the Act 1 house. Now, many Hello Neighbor veterans know this is the house from the first game, but it's now a crime scene, because Mr. Peterson got caught killing people. You can find more about that soon. So you want to head over to this police car, jump on top, and there we go. So now that you're spinning around, you're going to want to wait 5 seconds. Now that was a bit of a trick, because that was actually 7 seconds. Now Nielsen's going to see you. He's the officer that kind of guards the house, but he can't really do much. You want to climb up this ladder. It's pretty simple. You're going to just want to remember not to press any buttons. So you can see that this window is actually shut. So if you break that window with your crowbar, sometimes it won't work because this game is bad. Alright, so now that you're inside the house, there's actually not a lot you can do up here because you don't have the scissors. So the scissors are actually a really important item in the game because the entire game kind of revolves around it. But you can break this chest open and get this little piece of paper. You also have to pull this bed back, and apparently this is a pretty difficult puzzle. I couldn't even solve it when I first played the game because it wasn't in the game. The key to getting the scissors is actually going across the street to this greenhouse. Nothing really important happened here, and there's nothing really important about it. You kind of bounce in this trampoline for a little bit, and I'm not sure why because it's not yours. You're gonna want to head up here to the tree house. There's this robot guy who can give you some stuff if you do his little side quest. This isn't required, just kind of for fun. He gives you this little lever thing, which you can put here. This doesn't actually do anything, so we can just go. So if you're curious about where the scissors actually are, because they're not in the treehouse, they're actually over here in this pretty obscure spot. They're by the trash cans, referencing the fact that the scissors are a trash mechanic. So something the game adds is that you can't actually run when you're holding the scissors, because as you all know, you never run with scissors. Now the policeman might come in and grab me, but it doesn't really matter. You can't really stop me. There's actually a little kid in here, but he's kind of worthless. Yeah, the policeman goes back outside a lot of the time. There's also a kid in the walls. You can put her right here, she kind of just stays there. There's also a weird man in the vents, but this house doesn't really make a lot of sense, so it's okay. Well, there's actually a reference to some classic literature in this house, but you gotta ignore the policeman if you want to go find it. So you gotta go in here. There's this little fridge with an eye on it. You want to open the fridge and take this block. So once you have the block, you want to go over here. You want to place the block in here so he gets confused and eats it. This actually kills the AI, but he doesn't eat the donut a lot of the time. So you actually got to go upstairs. A lot of this game is kind of just collecting things, which is fine. Everyone likes collecting things. So you want to take this dumbbell and place it on this pressure plate, which opens up this little cupboard so you can take this thing. And there's a lot of cool stuff in here, like Nielsen. So the literature reference I was talking about earlier is actually in here. You can see the letter 8 right here. So you actually put in 1984. You get a key referencing the George Orwell novel, 1984. I've never read it, but I can only assume this game is quite a lot like it. Now, there's actually a pro tip if you want to get away from the AIs. They actually can't get you if you're on like an elevated surface that's kind of far away. They tend to either wander off or just kind of sit there and get stuck. In Nielsen's case, he wandered off because he couldn't really catch me. So I'm sure a lot of people were wondering why I didn't upload videos on the taxidermist and mayor location when I first played the game. I only did the bakery and Act 1 house, and also the final area in the museum. That's actually a really funny story. My footage corrupted, and by corrupted, I mean I deleted it. I'd say the Act 1 house is probably the most in-depth location in this game, even though the objective is just get into the basement. So the basement's actually a pretty interesting area. What you're going to want to do is you're going to crouch under this newspaper and grab the key. So once you have the key, you want to take it up here, open this up, and then you're just going to want to run over here. It takes a pretty long time to run over here, which is why I don't like it when fan games make areas really far away for no good reason without any way of fast traveling. This game actually doesn't have any fast travel. Alright, so once you cross over the wooden bridge, you can actually find this little area. Now this is actually the next part of the game for some reason. I'm not really sure why, it doesn't really make a lot of sense, but you're going to want to head down this tunnel and into this, this strange area. Alright, so we're in the forest level, and the forest level is pretty cool. It's really simple to beat, there isn't any enemies here or anything. So you're just kind of going to want to head over here. It's like a little house, but you can just kind of ignore it and run past it. So you're going to want to run along these train tracks. And that's all you really do. You kind of just follow the train tracks, and you'll figure out where you're going as long as you stay on the path. Alright, so we've been following the train tracks for a while, and we're almost to the end location. There's some strange like footsteps and audio cues sometimes that don't actually mean anything. Alright, so once you get to the church, you're going to want to take a right. You go into the crypt. As you can see, the doors are wide open to welcome you in. Alright, so these mannequin things that burst out of the wall, these just kind of give you a bit of extra lore about the neighbor's family. These are the people he killed, by the way. It goes a bit more in depth in the animated series. Yeah, they give you a hug, it's pretty cool. And then time starts rewinding and they get sucked back into the wall. It's a pretty common occurrence in Raven Brooks. And then Quentin falls asleep. Alright, so it'll set you back in front of the Act 1 house again. So now you have to go back into the basement and grab that newspaper, now that can be picked up. It's a pretty strange little side quest, but I'm kind of glad it's in the game, because it gives a lot more depth to the game's storyline. So all you gotta do is head back down here. And you want to grab this newspaper. They'll talk about closing the museum, but that's not really important to what's going on right now. So you're just gonna head up here. So now that you're at the museum, it's going to want you to come in here and pick up the shovel, but it actually doesn't want you to do that. So what you're going to do is you're going to head off to the side here, and this door right here, you just want to crowbar through it, and then you want to head in. There's this other door right over here. Just crowbar this, open that. You want to take the fish head. So once you got this door open, you're going to take the heart key and go up to that door. There's a door on the second floor with a little heart lock on it. It doesn't really mean anything, but you can go up there. So once you unlock this, you want to break this glass display case, but you don't want to grab the painting inside because it's a trap. What you actually want to do is you want to head downstairs, go back outside, and there's a shovel in here, but you might have missed it on first playthrough. I'm going to take the shovel. This is actually what you have to do. The rest of the part's kind of just a distraction for novice players who aren't really paying attention. There's actually a little nightmare sequence here, but it's not important, so we're going to skip it. So on day 2, what you're supposed to do is you're going to head to the mayor's house, because this is the location that opens up on the second day. But sometimes the game bugs out, because the developers don't know how to program. So it appears that the mayor's location is closed, so you gotta go to the bakery instead, since that's usually what opens up instead. So the bakery isn't that good of a location, because you can't really buy anything from it. You kind of just head in, you gotta interact with this thing, but there's no numbers on it. There's also a couple bit of donuts in there, but those don't really matter to the grand scheme of anything. So it's a little known fact that this woman's name is actually Gerda Baker. And it's very true. If you actually look it up, you'll see that I'm telling the truth. She likes puzzles a lot, which is why her bakery is set up like some sort of escape room. She doesn't like you when you take your vow, but that's okay. She'll kind of just slap you. So there's a little ladder on the side here, but you don't want to interact with that, because ladders are kind of just for nerds. But you can bounce on these umbrellas for some reason. Kind of just bounce up onto the roof, take a paint can, check it through the window. She doesn't really mind though, so it's okay. So this clock puzzle here, you actually want to set it to your computer time. pretty obscure puzzle. For me, it's 10:35, so it'll open up. I get the thing. But she doesn't like it when you tell the time, so you gotta get out of there quick. So little known fact, there's actually a secret key frozen in the oven. So you just want to put that out. Sometimes the key isn't there. That's okay, you don't have to panic. There's actually a trick. Gerda can grab you here. And she'll send you right to the museum. So at this part, you're supposed to use the key to unlock the museum, but the game bugged out, so I don't have the key anymore. So you're actually going to want to just head around to the side and open up that door we used last night to get in, which is why we did it. Mr. Peterson's in here, but that doesn't actually matter that much. You can kind of just run upstairs and ignore him. Shut the door behind you, and then grab the painting. It's actually like an evil painting, it like changes. This actually has a bit of important lore, so we're going to want to pay attention to this. The cutscene actually just ends there, so it doesn't really matter. So on day 3 is where you go to the taxidermist, and the taxidermist is pretty cool. He has this tiny house on the outside of town. You can actually find it right behind the Act 1 house. Alright, so that was the entire taxidermist location. So now that the safe's open, we can grab the key. The key makes it nighttime for some reason. So it's a really long way to the museum. I don't really want to run that far, so this is we're going to deploy a speedrun strat. Naysayers will actually say fast travel isn't in the game, but if you press load last save, you'll actually be taken right to where you need to go. It even has a little van that kind of just show you where you're going. So this is all the items you're going to want to have at this point in the game. You're going to want to head inside the museum real quick. And Mr. Peterson's still in here, but he's not really important at all. You want to head up here, and you're going to unlock this door. But sometimes the key doesn't work, because this game is broken. So you're going to want to head over here, and you're going to want to unlock this door instead. And there's a couple books in here, but they don't actually do anything. So this save actually uses your computer time to unlock. So you just want to enter that, and then grab the camera inside. Mr. Peterson will ignore you. So you get flashed by the camera, then the nightmare ends. It shows a few doors for some reason, but I don't really understand why. So normally on this day you'd be heading over to the bakery, but the game bugged out, so I ended up doing the bakery on day 2. You're actually going to want to head over to the mayor's house today. Now the mayor location is actually part of one of the bigger ones. It's not very in-depth though. It's got a little fountain in front of it, so that's how you know where to find it. So you can sometimes hear piano music coming from inside the mayor's house. He's pretty good at it. He doesn't really appreciate it when you come in for like the lesson, so he'll start chasing after you. But it's okay, you can just kind of shut the doors on him and keep going. So there's actually quite a few secret items in the mayor's house. You can sometimes hear him bouncing around through the walls. But you can actually get a secret fire extinguisher if you head up here. And you're going to use this shovel to break the window. That's all it's really used for. You can actually see the fire extinguisher on the roof, so you're going to want to take that. It doesn't actually do anything, so you can just ignore it. There's this fuse you can get. It kind of reminds me of something, I'm not sure what. I feel like I saw it earlier in the game, but this is the first time you ever see it. So you can just kind of disregard any feelings of deja vu. So this location has you collecting trophies. It's kind of like a reference to how many awards this game won. There's also a golden record, which is a reference to the soundtrack. The soundtrack is actually really hard to get, so most people just kind of ignore it. Alright, so once you have the golden record, you want to take it inside the house. But the mayor's going to be in there, so you might want to actually not do that. So you may have noticed when you were in that room that there was no jukebox or anything. That's because it got broken in the animated series. If you didn't know that, you should probably try to keep up a little. It's pretty basic knowledge, actually. This is where the fire extinguisher I said would be useful comes in. You're going to use it to extinguish the grill, and take this piece of meat. The dog doesn't really want to eat it though, so you just can kind of ignore that. Now I don't actually have a shovel, so you're going to want to find one over here. There's a spare shovel in case you're stupid and lose it. I threw mine because it wasn't important. So once you have the ship's wheel, which you get after you find all the trophies, you're going to want to take it in here. If you ever watch One Piece, you'll know how this part goes. You're going to want to just turn this and steer the ship and stop it. And then you can enter the mayor's cult room. There's not a lot of interesting things in here besides this bird. So you want to take this coin and then twirl it around your finger for good luck. The museum is actually really far away, so it kind of sucks that there's no fast travel or anything. Even if you fall down, you'll kind of just get back up. Okay, so once you're at the museum for the final night of the game, you're going to want to climb out into the scaffolding. Now the scaffolding is kind of like a secret area, which makes it really hard to beat the game, because you can't actually get to the museum unless you go down here. You're going to want to head over here and open this door. We can get to the museum. There's a little puzzle here, but a lot of people just kind of ignore it. And I'm gonna do a completionist run, so I gotta get everything. There's actually a book in the bathroom, which is bolted shut for some reason. I'm not really sure why. I don't think a lot of thought was put into it. So you can actually befriend Mr. Peterson if you kind of just stand at a good distance from him. He's pretty shy, so you can't really get too close. But yeah, he'll like square up and sometimes he'll give you a hug. So there's another puzzle if you go into the garage and look at his futuristic car. It's got some blue lights under it, which is pretty interesting. You can actually go grab this boar head. I'm not sure he's planning on taking this, but I guess he brought it from his house, which is pretty weird. Oh, but he's actually standing there. But I was too fast, so he didn't see me. So once you have all the animal heads, there's a little puzzle here you have to do. You have to put the fish head here. I put it in the wrong spot earlier. You gotta put the boar head here, and you gotta put this thing here. I'm not really sure why it's like that, because these two clearly seem wrong. It looks like the game bugged out again, so we're gonna have to deploy a speedrun strat to get up into the attic. So you just want to hold S and then vault up, and then you can kind of just clip into the attic. There's not a lot to do up here. You can just take this key and open that door, which gives you the ending of the game. It's really abrupt and kind of bad. I don't necessarily agree with it, but you can cut that. There's nothing behind the painting. There's just kind of a bunch of boxes because the developers didn't finish it. So yeah, there's this kid back here. He's kind of stupid. I've never really seen him before. I'm not sure why he's the objective of the game. I think you see him on a missing poster once or twice, but that's all. Cut out a lot of dead space there because you kind of just talk to the kid for 20 minutes and he explains the lore. And his dad shows up and he's pretty angry about this. So yeah, he's gonna pick me up and put me in jail. And this like hurts a lot. So yeah, he throws you in, then shuts the door. That's just kind of how the game ends. And that's all there is to it. It's a pretty abrupt ending, but I can't blame them. I did it that way too. You may also know that as a reference to the animated series ending, where Trinity goes to jail for her crimes. And that's how you beat Hell and Ever 2 in a pretty fast manner. I'm not a big fan of this game. I think the pacing could be better, and I think a couple puzzles could be improved. It's also pretty buggy, as I put all the animal heads in the right spot and the attic didn't open. So be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll give you more speedrun strats. There's also a secret if you wait to the end of the credits, but I'm not going to show it. You gotta watch it for yourself.